There is no shortage of advice for people starting this wonderful profession. It's both challenging and rewarding to be a teacher. It's humbling and motivating. And each day can be filled with joy and sadness. We touch lives. No, we shape lives. It's a huge responsibility and one that should not be taken lightly. Unfortunately, more than half the people who join our profession will not last 5 years despite heroic efforts to support them. Imagine if we could change that trajectory and ensure that the vast majority of people who are called to serve as educators reaped the moral rewards of their work. What a difference we could make in the lives of students and the colleagues who would be lucky enough to have stable peers with whom to collaborate. It's common to focus on classroom management as one of the stressors for new teachers who are finding their way in the routines and procedures of the classroom. But we want to dig beneath that and think about things that teachers can do to create a classroom where students want to come and learn. Yes, classroom management is important and there are students who will challenge the rules and push buttons. But generally speaking, students come to school expecting to be treated fairly and experience success. If we could offer 3 recommendations for new teachers, they would be these. First, develop healthy, growth-producing relationships with students. The foundation of classroom management is relationships. It's harder to be disrespectful when you appreciate your teacher. But relationships serve more than classroom management. When students trust and value their teacher, a concept called teacher credibility, they learn more in part because the environment is safe to make mistakes and grow. When students believe that they can learn from a teacher, they do. But the opposite is also true. When students believe that they cannot learn from someone, it's nearly impossible for them to do so. So, make sure that teachers know students' names, how to pronounce them, and something about each student. Greet students at the door each day. Be reliable and trustworthy and let your students know that you care about them and their learning. And enjoy the company of the students who are lucky enough to call you teacher. Second, make content relevant. When students find value in their learning, they are much more likely to self-regulate their behavior. When the learning is interesting or useful, students push aside distractions and focus on the lesson at hand. Teachers should regularly discuss why students are learning the things they are learning. As Stewart, 2023, suggests, teachers should micro-sermonize on the value of the content. In The Will to Learn, Cultivating Student Motivation Without Losing Your Own by D. Stewart, Corwin, 2023, the author shares 9 ways that teachers can share the value of learning with students and questions to ask yourself to help design the talking points to ensure your classroom is a dynamic place in which students want to learn. And third, know what students need to learn. Students need to know that they are learning, every day. When teachers are clear about the learning expectations, or learning intentions as we call them, and what successful learning looks like, we call these success criteria. Students can monitor their progress and consider the new learning and feedback they receive from teachers. Share success criteria with students and do not expect them to infer what you want them to learn. Also, know what your students already know so that you don't spend time on that. It's boring to be in a lesson when you already know the content. Focus on what students still need to learn, which may require that you consider different grouping patterns or assigning different tasks based on the next learning that students need from you. When you ensure that students know what they need to learn, and it's not redundant, they are more likely to accept the challenge of learning. As we conclude, keep in mind that learning is a complex endeavor and a joy to observe in action. When teachers maintain strong, healthy relationships with students, make content relevant, and ensure students know what they are learning, great things happen. First of all, students learn more. And in the process, their teachers reap the moral rewards of teaching, which is why we all got into this profession. Watching others learning and knowing that we had something to do with it. This information first appeared on CorwinConnect.com and was authored by Fisher and Nancy Frey.